Today, while on my computer, I'm going to be doing a WM Form presentation. What we're going to go over today is how to import data into the design software and do a basic laser grade survey design. So, open up WM Form. Here it comes up with the Trimble's new software. So in this box, it looks like we can select old project names, go directly to them, or for a new design, just click New Project. Here we need to name it. Name the field as well, and later in the software we can add different fields if you would like to. Once you've named the field, click Next. Now we need to import the data. So we click the Browse button. Here, if you would have thumb drives in your computer, you would go select the correct thumb drive and find the AgGPS folder in there. Here on my computer today, I've got my data on the desktop. Field level demo data is what I'm going to use today. This program looks for a .txt file or a .xml file. .xml does help out with getting into the program a little quicker. That's basically the only difference than using the txt file. Both of those files are output out of the TMX or FMX of the Trimble display. Once we have the file path correct, just select Next. It is pulling in that design data. Here we got design type. So land leveling is what we'll be doing today, but we would just select this option for planar designs, or that is laser flat like we have been used to. These other three are variable grade options. Will be looked at in different sessions. So land leveling will be used today. We click Next. Here is a summary of what we have it named. We can change the name here if we would like. Just leave it like that and click Finish. Once we click Finish, it pulls up the existing topo of that field. So we got a 71 acre field. Master benchmark is a good ways away from the field, and it is set on a paved road, so I wouldn't lose it. This field, we did not do a planar design on it. We did a variable grade option. So in this demo, we're just going to be looking at the options of WM Form design software. So we need to go over here and click land leveling. Here's what it comes up to with when we click land leveling. We have a best fit option. Now the numbers here are the total field best fit. Everything that is highlighted in red, which is the boundary around this field, highlighted in red, 71 acres, 44,000 cut yards on best fit, 628 yards per acre. This bottom box is currently selected sections, so we will add sections in here, and this box will be different from the design totals. Will be showing, the bottom box will be showing what we have done as far as sectioning out those sections. So in this field, we will just draw us a section line down this backbone of this field. This part of this probably won't get worked with, so we'll just go ahead and add that section line here along the top. Go get your section line tool up here in the left hand corner, add the section line in here. The only thing we need to be sure of is making sure that our cursor stays the section line stays at the top of the backbone and then crosses the boundary. We could draw this clear out here, but there's really no need to have that section line way out there. We'll just make sure it crosses the boundary, and then we'll right click and hit complete. We could also have hit enter and it would have completed that section line as well. So this section 2, we don't really want it. We'll click over here and select that side. And section 2, of course, now here down on currently selected section, we have 5 acres, 2,200 yards in that small section. It don't look like we have any problems in it, so we will just go ahead and not include it in the design. Now we just have section 1 to deal with, and these boxes changed, the designs changed, press calculate, so we do not have any best fit numbers now until we hit calculate here in the top right. We now have a best fit for section 1, and that is 5/10 of grade at 229 degrees, and the design totals here on 34,000 yards, 530 yards per acre on 65 acres. Now, would like to show you some cool little features here in the background. One of them would be a grid size in the background of the field. We can change the bearing of that grid. So we would like to match this north side as close as possible, so we can get that coordinate by just using our measure tool. Going from one side to the other, we're looking at 233 degrees there where it's got that B in the middle of that box, 233 degrees. So we'll go back up here and select our other tool, put in 233 degrees on a width of however wide we want the squares to be. So in this video we'll just do every 100 foot for now. Alright, every 100 foot we have a grid in the bottom. Now this grid, you can't move that grid around, but you can move the field on top of that grid. So we can go over here and move that field to where it lines up as close as much as possible with that grid. I'll just probably leave it right there for now. And then we can count how much we want, how many boxes we want there, and put in more section lines if need be. Again, I'll show you how to draw a section line. Just go up here and select the section line tool, come down here and draw in your section line. Now, if we notice that we do not have that section line where we want it, we can grab a hold of that section line, click it once, get our green control nodes up, grab that green control node, and move it wherever we want it to be. Unclick the mouse, and there we go. Now, you see this big long tail out here? We don't like it. So we can delete this control node just by clicking on the section line, getting the control nodes up, right clicking on the green one, deleting node. Now remember that your control node needs to intersect the boundary. We'll zoom in here and I will show you what I'm talking about. So if we go ahead and get that control node up, and we think that we have got it all the way to the boundary, but it's about like that right there. As we zoom out here, we can see that it's almost touching, but it's not quite, and then you notice that we don't have another section here like we would like. So be sure your section lines intersect the boundary. Again, just click the section line, drag the node down to where it crosses the section line, unclick it, and now you have your boundary. Alright, now we've got section 1 and section 3. We can rename those sections if we want to, and put whatever we want to name it. Now here in the left hand side, as we're toggling through our sections, we see that section 1 is now up for attention. Hillside section is now up for attention, and section 1 has collapsed itself. Now you can open that up to be able to view as many as you want to down this right hand side of the screen. So here, say we want to do a best fit on the hillside, so we just click best fit. When you do have auto calculate turned on, it will go ahead and best fit it for you. And so that would be 5/10 of grade back toward the east, toward the center of the field. Alright, we're just going to leave that one like that for this video. I'm going to go up here into section 1. I want to go ahead and best fit that again. Now we've got 595, almost 6/10 of grade in that section 1, and say we want to build paths around this top. Have not measured that, so I don't know what we'll do, but we'll just put in an export of, say, 3,000 yards. Alright, once you got your export in there, just hit calculate, and we'll export that dirt. Over here in the bottom left, you see how that we've got an export yardage of 3,000 yards. In there we've got a cut yard now of 29,835 yards with a 455 cut yards per acre on this total field. That is not including, or that is including the hillside section. Section 1, you have 27,801 yards with a total of 506, and then on this hillside you would have a 4 acre piece, or right at 5 acre piece with 2,000 yards of export. If we don't like the export, of course we can go into this and edit it, or we can just put it on balanced, hit calculate again, you'll be good to go. Now, I have not showed you any part of any kind of different screens other than the the existing elevations and everything. So let me get that grid off the background. We'll go here to our UI layers. We'll click it. Pops up a layers tab. I generally just slide it out of the way here in this side. We'll put on the design color, and then I will come up here and put on the designed contours. So here's my design contours. Now in this view you cannot see any kind of grade. Now on this one field we can generally tell real close which way the grade is falling. On this hillside is not so apparent. So to view that, you will need to go up here to your design screen, which is what you can print, and then turn on the surface info. Now you have your grades and the direction of fall, the degrees, and the grade. You can print that. Any kind of reports up here in the top you can print. When you're just on this design editor and you're playing around with your views, you cannot print those. One thing for me to point out here is when you're playing around with your contours and your surfaces, just be sure that you have turned on what you want to see and not everything turned on, because the screen does get real busy with everything you have turned on. Now these surfaces you can only have one turned on at a time. The contours you can have them all turned on if you would like. Alright, go up here to our reports. Here's our cut fill report. You can turn on and off the surface info, which here what that is a grid of every 100 foot you have a cut fill contour, a station map. You can drop that 100 foot to 200 foot if you want, or you can even put it as low as 10 feet. To turn those back off, just click the surface info and they go away. Annotation layer is the benchmarks and section lines no longer show up. Turn those back on, you can see that. Here is the contours. You can turn those on and off as well. 1 foot contours now, you put that down at 2/10. On grade band, you can turn it on and off. Let me widen that out so we can see what we're doing. There's every 2/10 contours. There's your 2/10 contour band. Turn it on, turn it on. Alright, our next report is design. Here's our design report. It looks like all of our stuff is turned on. Turn the contours off. Turn the flow path off. Or turn the section line off there as well. The summary has all of our names, our sections, our slopes, our downhill direction, cross slope if we had any, and cross slope downhill direction if we had any there as well. Also we have our cut fill yardage here, total move per acre, and then our benchmarks and the cut fills of those. Then I think down here at the bottom you can view those side by side or scroll mode, however you want to see those. Proposed design, we can see view a 3D model of that field. Whenever you turn it on, it comes up, it defaults with show original and show proposed. This vertical exaggeration, will need to use it. I generally exaggerate it fairly well so I can view what I'm doing. I can turn off the original to see what we'll be doing when we're finished. Drag the mouse around, you can resume that. If the field does get all catty corner and messed up, you don't know where you're at, just click this top right corner of top and then it jumps the field back to regular. I can drape the cut fill on top of that. You can see where your cut fill is according to the proposed and original. We'll shut our proposed off. Now you can see the cut fill of that field. And with that, I think it's getting close to being finished here, other than we go onto our design, we say, yeah, that's what I want to print. We just hit print and it'll take us through the steps, find your printer and everything. Next, to design it to put it out to Trimble display, we would say export to Trimble display. For FMX, you'll just leave it on this 10 feet or leave it to whatever it defaults that utilizes the FMX capabilities. We can click this box to use high resolution, and do not forget to read this. If you load a TMX design into a FMX, the memory will be depleted rapidly, and you'll have serious display problems. If you know you're going to might be putting it in a FMX, just leave that off like that. Field boundary design rotation, if you want to use that, you're very well capable of it. I believe that design rotation would be the same as what your grade would be, something like that. Currently it just defaults to 0, so it doesn't affect it at all. Boundary output, this here would be helpful if you have trees along your boundary and you're building paths along your boundary. Your GPS receiver jumps in and out. Go ahead and extend that out to however much you desire. I think the max there is 25 feet. I don't think you can go any more than 25 feet to extend that boundary. Well, it looks like you can. Don't let you go 1,000. What was that max stuff? Save. I personally, you don't need anything more than about 15 feet, so leave it like that. Alright, next you want to browse to where you're going to put that .gps file, and on my desktop I just have a folder where I drop them all so I don't lose them. You go select your thumb drive and put it in the right folder in that. So I'm just going to cancel out of this. Don't need to create that file. And with that, we'll wrap up the basics.